What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks, and we back in the building. You feel me? It's True Talks, cause True Talks. All right, let's get straight right into it. So you already know, bruh. The other day was definitely, something that took the NBA news and took the NBA world by storm. Was the comments that was made by Kyrie Irving about his teammates and the upcoming summer and the future and the pieces needed, etc. So a lot of people, obviously, this is not hitting right with them. This, it doesn't sit right with them. A lot of people are now, commenting on Kyrie and his comments, leadership, etc., and all that type of stuff. You already know how that goes. So basically, what happened was that the other day, so they asked Kyrie Irving, and he was just speaking to the media after the game versus the Sixers when he was on the road, and that was his third game back. So he said, it's transparent, it's out there, it's glaring in terms of the pieces that we need in order to be at that next level. I'm going to continue to reiterate it. We're going to do the best with the guys that we have on our locker room now. We'll worry about all that other stuff in terms of moving pieces and everything else as an organization down the line in the summer. It's just something that we signed up for. We knew what we were coming into at the beginning of the season. Guys were going down left and right. Garrett Temple is out. DeAndre Jordan just got hurt tonight. Wilson Chandler is coming back. We've got complementary young guys as well that have done a great job the last 3 years. Collectively, I feel like we have great pieces, but it's pretty glaring. We need one more piece or two more pieces that will complement myself, Kevin Durant, DJ, GT, Spence, Karis, and we'll see how that evolves. All right, so you've seen I read everything that Kyrie said, and when it comes to Kyrie, a lot of the times it's not like he's saying anything wrong. It's just there's context and there's stuff behind it that you already know. At the end of the day, the game speaks for itself, and the game and the period of the game shows me the truth. Like I've been said, that's how I get all my answers, just from having the IQ of looking at the game with a purist eye. You know what I'm saying? With the eye of a purist, the eye of someone who appreciates the artistry, like I've been said time and time again. So when it comes down to that, you know what I'm saying? I know the truth about Kyrie. There's all this narratives and all this type of stuff that goes on with Kyrie. I know that a lot of it is false, but at the end of the day, there's certain ways to go about certain stuff, and there's certain things that you can't do given that the narrative is this and it's been known. You know what I'm saying? So let me explain that and go into further depth and give it a context and give it IQ, because that's what I do. You feel me? So anyways, a lot of people are running away with, oh my God, Kyrie, he's doing it again. He did this in Boston. He's doing this all over the place. It's what's going on with him, all this type of stuff. So the context is, one, I think the Nets are 5 wins, 9 losses without Kyrie, and they're 13-13 they're 5-9 with Kyrie, and they're 13-13 without Kyrie. So they're 500 without Kyrie. They're below 500 with Kyrie. So a lot of people are now saying Kyrie is the reason, etc., and that's obviously looking at stuff in a vacuum. That's just the narrative that people just like to give, because again, Kyrie left LeBron, and people, they just look at Kyrie in a negative light, which is understood. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. They'll look at KD in a negative light. Hence part of the reason why they joined together, to change the narrative together. But some of it is given and some of it is unwarranted. Now, when you look at it from Kyrie being a leader and Kyrie, not helping his teammates, all that type of stuff, and being a detriment to the team, and they're better without Kyrie. Now let's just be real, okay? When he got to Boston, he first got there, Gordon Hayward broke his leg. Obviously that opening, that season debut in the opening game for the season when they're facing the Cavs. And after that happened, everyone thought the season was done for the Boston Celtics. My goodness. Wow, it's unfortunate, all that type of stuff. Boom, just like that, 16-0 winning streak. They went on a 16-game winning streak with Kyrie, without Gordon Hayward. So people at that time were like, oh my God, Kyrie's fitting well. He's, he's changing the mentality of these guys. He's leading them well. He's doing all of that type of stuff. And the context was he was closing all those games that were close. They were losing and they come back in the fourth quarter. Kyrie was the one they would just give him the ball and he was just mono and he was picking and poison and finding a way to pass or get the bucket himself. You get what I'm saying? So for someone to be known as they're better without him, they're all this type of stuff, but yet they erase the fact, and the narrative is that, they're better without him and all this type of stuff when it was in Boston, but they erase and ignore the fact that they went on a 16-game winning streak with Kyrie being there. People forget about that. They got the second best record in the East, Kyrie being there, being the leader, you know what I'm saying? People erase all of that type of stuff. Now what happened was obviously when Kyrie now got injured and they had to, play the playoffs without Kyrie and they went to the conference finals, people were looking at it as a detriment to Kyrie when he's the one who inspired them. He's the one who gave them that, enhanced their mentality, you know what I'm saying? And made them get comfortable and encouraged them and empowered them. That's what he was doing. You could see they were all playing with the Kyrie mentality and the Kobe mentality. You could see that's how they were playing with Rozier, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, especially in the playoffs. So now that gave them a high rise and high praise that the media was giving them. And then the media turned the narrative into, look at these guys, Brown, Rozier, Tatum. Do they really need Kyrie? Do they need him to come back? They just created a negative narrative, which now affected the upcoming season because now guys were too head over heels over everything that just transpired in the playoffs that past year. So now Hayward was coming back and Kyrie was coming back the next season. And when that happened, people are trying to act like, oh, Kyrie came back and all of a sudden just detriment of the team. That's not just all that happened. Brad Stevens showed favoritism to Gordon Hayward, eventually, benching Jaylen Brown, all that type of stuff. He's obviously thinking this is my breakout year, and he's obviously cheesed and he's mad and he's upset. So he's now, every time he gets it, he's not swinging. He's trying to cook. He's trying to prove a point. Rozier's in contract year. He's trying to prove a point. You know what I'm saying? Tatum feels like he got the short end of the stick when Hayward comes and started, and Hayward kind of play makes with that picking, those high ball screens and those handoffs. Jason Tatum is getting lost in the shuffle sometimes. So when he gets it, he's not passing. He's trying to, There's a lot of hidden agendas and a lot of one-on-one stuff going on. And the only one who didn't really have that was Gordon Hayward. It was Al Horford. So that was the context that was going on. People try to act like they never won with Kyrie, trying to act like Kyrie was the reason why all of this stuff went to shit and all of this stuff was negative. Kyrie obviously is part of it, but at the end of the day, don't act like they were only winning when Kyrie was gone. They were winning their best actually when Kyrie was there. The 16-game win streak, they never got to that point and had that type of success. Their highest success was the 16-game winning streak. They never reached that pinnacle. You know what I'm saying? They never reached those heights and reached that status without Kyrie. Yes, they won in conference finals, but there was games they only won at home. They were losing on the road, all that type of stuff. You get what I'm saying? So people are just getting it twisted and it was a false narrative against Kyrie. So that's one context. Now you add to that the playoffs. Yes, he played terrible. And again, there's a lot of hidden agendas and all that type of stuff when it happened when they were facing the Bucks in the second round. And so obviously that's the fresh taste and the last thing that's in everybody's mouth and the media's, the narratives and all these people, all their mouths. You know what I'm saying? That's the last thing on their mind. So now when he leaves and he goes to Brooklyn, they're looking at it as, okay, Brooklyn last year made the playoffs with D'Angelo Russell, Dinwiddie, LeVert and all of them. They made the playoffs. What was it? 4-1. They lost. But just like, okay, we're going to make the next jump if you replace D'Lo with Kyrie and you're adding KD and then you're adding Taurean Prince, you're adding all these other guys. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought moving forward as well. But then Kyrie obviously they didn't have a great start. Kyrie was going to work, but they weren't winning. They didn't have a great start. You know what I'm saying? And all that type of stuff. And then Kyrie's injured. They go 13-13. Then Woody's going to work, all that type of stuff. They started winning a lot. Then they started losing and they were winning, losing. So they became 500. That's kind of the context given with this whole Kyrie situation. So a lot of people in their eyes is creating this narrative. Kyrie's bad, turmoil in Boston. Kyrie's bad. Now he's creating turmoil in the Nets. So from that perspective, to me, it's a false narrative, but I can understand why people are saying it, because again, if you don't look at the depths of it and look at the context of it, you're gonna just blame the best player. You get what I'm saying? You're gonna just blame the best player. And also too, in Boston, he was saying stuff like, oh, he was doing the whole LeBron thing when he said, okay, I appreciate LeBron. You know what I mean? These guys got to humble themselves and all that type of stuff. And you know what I mean? I feel what you were saying. I was the young guy in that situation and not trying to sacrifice all that type of stuff. Remember, he was doing all that type of stuff and speaking with the media on a regular basis. So that's kind of the context that obviously everyone's saying that he creates turmoil and he's just not a great leader, which is given. Okay, that's heard. But to me, like I said, it's a false narrative, because if he wasn't a great leader, the 16-game win streak and all these other things that they were accomplishing, and those times where he will be like, you know what, they're saying I don't pass, okay, I'm gonna go through stretches where I'm almost getting 20 assists, I'm passing, we're winning, all that type of stuff, and it's just an up and down seesaw, because like I told you, it was hidden agendas. It wasn't just him. So now when it came to the Nets, he was trying his ass off, got the 50 on the opening night. They were losing. If people were really watch the Nets, the problem with the Nets is never their scoring. Kyrie gets buckets. Karras gets buckets. It's not like Kyrie's just holding the ball the whole time. Kyrie stays in the corner bare times. They literally share pick and roll duties. Jared Allen, pick and roll with Spencer Dinwiddie. Doesn't work, kick it to Kyrie. Pick and roll with Kyrie and Jared Allen. Doesn't work, you have Karis LeVert off ball doing pick and rolls too. This basically, everyone takes their turn doing pick and rolls with the center. You get what I'm saying? That's their offense. That's been their schemes, and their offensive schemes that they've been doing since D'Lo and all that type of stuff. You get what I'm saying? So now they're doing the same thing with Kyrie, and then Kyrie within that pick and roll with ISO and go mano a mano. But the problem with the Nets, if you've really been watching, like I've been said, obviously people just want to blame Kyrie because of the context and the history that they attach to him, especially when it comes to Boston. You know what I'm saying? But the actual reality is that the Nets defense is fucking trash, man. The Nets defense is straight doo-doo. Like they literally get buckets, but their defense is atrocious. Joe Harris, no lockup. Taurean Prince, semi-lockup. You get what I'm saying? Dinwiddie, not really. Sometimes. Karis LeVert, not really. Sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? They don't have no elite defender. Basically, it's just kind of like just a bunch of offensive-minded players. And their defense is just atrocious. That's literally the reason why they lose games. So if you look at what Kyrie's saying, anytime a player says, so let's start here. What Kyrie's saying is big time facts, because they've been losing. Obviously, he's been injured for a majority of the season. So people are like, how you just come back 3 games and you're already talking, etc., etc., etc. It's not, people always have a negative connotation when it comes to Kyrie, that they don't want to see what actually he's saying and see it from what the game shows you. You get what I'm saying? What the man is saying is that he's saying complementary pieces. When a star or anybody says complementary pieces, that literally means when you say 1 or 2 pieces away, complementary. I just understand that as, no, we don't need elite talent, or they'll say we need better players or whatever. They're not saying they need elite talent. So people are confusing it. Oh my goodness, you and KD. When KD comes back, it's a solid team. It's a championship team. What are you talking about? Regardless, even if KD comes back, these mans don't play good defense. Their defense is atrocious. Their defense is straight booty cheeks. Clap it. Doo-doo. I'm trying to tell you, their defense is anus, man. If you actually are watching, their defense is straight garbage. Fugazi. Whatever word you want to use, that defense is that. You know what I'm saying? So people don't understand that with Golden State, with the prowess and the ability and the way that they were a dynasty, was literally lock up. Only Steph had suspect defense. And even then, he was still trying and getting some types of interceptions sometimes and stuff like that. But their defense was lock up. Their scorers lock up. KD lock up. Clay lock up. Dre lock up. Eagle lock up. Sean lock up. You get what I'm saying? McGee, Petula, whoever, lock up. So when it comes to that, that's part of the reason why, a big reason why that team was a dynasty. So when you look at it from that perspective, KD coming back, KD will lock up his position, but they're getting cooked on the perimeter OD. Like, KD will do defense, but he's only one position. As team defense is horrendous. Their team defense is atrocious. Their team defense is horrendous overall. So KD won't fix that. He'll fix, obviously, their offense, and they'll still be elite, and they'll win games. They'll be a contender, top 4, whatever the case is. But to actually win a championship without defense, it's tough. They'll have to be clicking on all cylinders on offense at all times. And it's tough. It's tough to do that. So what he's saying here when he means complementaries, what he's trying to say is we need a couple like maybe 3-and-D guys, you know what I'm saying? So like a Jonathan Isaac type, you know what I'm saying? Those type of guys who are glue guys where they lock up, something like Finney-Smith in Mavs, you know what I'm saying? Those are complementary pieces, because KD and Kyrie can cook and they can eat, and Karras can cook. Their offensive-minded players. So to complement them, you need defensive-minded players to make a full, team. He's just looking for a 1-2 role-playing piece that will make this team go to higher heights. You know what I'm saying? Something like a Mo Harkless, someone who could spot up, hit a 1-2, but their main thing is they pad on defense. They could guard multiple positions. They pad and they improve the defense for the team. I can read between the lines. I already know I already know what he's saying. So what he's saying is correct, and what he's saying is not. There's nothing wrong with what he's saying, but Kyrie's got to be smarter than this, man. Kyrie's got to be smarter than this. You got to understand that. Obviously, he doesn't care about the media and all that type of stuff, but you got to understand the media. You have to care about the media because the media can affect your players. It can affect your players' mindset. The players watch the media. Everybody goes to the media. Fans, players, whoever, coaches, doesn't matter. Everyone goes to the media. So when you say something like that, it can rub people the wrong way within the team because it's like, oh, he mentioned all these people's names. Joe Harris is like, he didn't mention my name. Does that mean they're trying to get me? You know what I'm saying? Like, he might have even told them, but at the end of the day, when you hear it from the media, it's one of those games where it's like, it's one of those fine lines where it's like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't go the right way. Not only that, they're looking for a negative thing to say about Kyrie. Kyrie's got to be smarter than that. They know when you're in Boston, when you're saying all this type of stuff, they know you haven't been playing almost the whole season. There's too many negatives that they can pick up and just throw your way. When you say something like this, what you say 9 times out of 10 is going to be lost in the shuffle, given who you are, what you have, what the history that's been attached to you, the narrative that's been attached to you. You got to be smarter than that, Kyrie. You got to be smarter. And when he's talking, he's clearly talking about the summer. You know what I'm saying? Because he's saying right now we're going to do what we can do, but we clearly we could see our defense is trash. I already know that's what he's saying. I can see it and I hear you. I got it. But at the end of the day, leadership wise, it's not, he could say this, but he could say it in a different way. You know what I'm saying? But when you name players and then it's gonna rub people the wrong way. Media is gonna create some bad narrative with it. You already know. So it's like, I understand what Kyrie's saying, but it's kind of hard for me to defend him in this spectrum and in this light. You know what I'm saying? When you have all these stuff that add up and then it's like, oh, now Kyrie says this. And it's like, God damn, Kyrie. Come on, yo. You already know. You know what it is. You just tell them. You don't need to tell media. You don't need to tell them. And I know they probably asked you a question and provoked you. And you know him. He's just a realist and you know he's a deep thinker and he's just gonna talk. But it's always gonna get lost in the shuffle. You gotta know better, man. You gotta know better. Come on, man. Bruh. He said he's cold, no sweater. Come on, now. You gotta know better, Kyrie. But anyways, you already know, like, so how I view this is obviously I understand what he's saying. When I read it, I read between the lines. I understand what he's meaning. Everything that he's saying is 100%, 1000% I agree. Because I be watching these Nets games. My goodness, that defense is straight booty cheeks. I'm telling you, bruh. They don't play no defense. If their offense isn't clicking, 9 times out of 10 they lose. That defense is straight doo-doo. And a lot of the times they're playing and they're actually eating, and then the team comes back and they lose games because the defense is atrocious. If you watch that Philly game, Ben Simmons is eating like that downhill, really? And then he started slowing down when they switched and put Jared Allen on him, you know what I mean, to slow him down because he can't shoot. But at the end of the day, the perimeter defense, like switching the screen, like it's just atrocious, man. Man's just be scoring OD and then just inbound quick and run down trying to get it back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, they're gonna be nice with KD regardless if they don't even change a thing. But we already know championship aspirations. You know what I mean? You got the Bucks. You gotta have defense, man. You gotta have some type of at least decent, at least top 10 defense. Decent defense at worst. Their defense is atrocious, man. God damn, yo. Anyways, it's true talks, because true talks, you already know. I give it that IQ, because that's what I do. Even if I like this player, even if I roll with them and I love their IQ, the arsenal, all that type of stuff, I call it what it is, man. I'm just true talks. When I speak, you listen. So I'm just trying to enlighten people because people are saying these things about Kyrie, and I understand it to a perspective of, okay, leadership, come on, Kyrie, can't do that, etc., etc., etc. I'm not saying he's a weak leader. I'm not taking it that far. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what he be doing behind the scenes. I just know when I can see certain mentality shifts in players based on a player who's there and how they're talking to him. You can just see it if you really understand the game. No one needs to tell you. You can just see it. And you can just see by production. You can just see by action. You can just see by demeanor. You know what I'm saying? And you've heard Marcus Smart, you heard Rozier always say Kyrie's a great leader. Yo, and it's not just because they were teammates of him, because the people have been bashed even when they're teammates of him. But you could just, you know what it is. But at the end of the day, it's just media controls a lot of these things. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, you just gotta know better. You gotta know better. You gotta maneuver better. You gotta tread lightly and do things in a different way, because at the end of the day, it's a new team. You're fresh with them. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how they're gonna take certain things. You don't know if Joe Harris is gonna be like, yo, geez, and he's gonna start bricking now mentally. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that you gotta put into play, especially given when you're that different breed of a player and you have this type of history. That's a negative history that they've created for you. So, you know what I mean? I just wish that he'll understand that, and that he'll just move differently in certain situations. You know what I'm saying? And just keep it behind closed doors, because at the end of the day, they're trying to find a way to knock you down. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, realists are realists. So when you talk to them, I'm not going to fake, I'm not going to lie. So I understand he's in a difficult situation where it's like he feels like he has to lie now to the media and talk smack and just be, surface. And he's not that type of guy. You already know he's a deep thinker. So it's like, it's hard for him to in the media be like, okay, I gotta lie to protect the team, but then at the end of the day be real behind the scenes to talk to the guy. So it's like he just knows how to just be real 24/7. So, and it's a gift and a curse, but you gotta improve from certain things. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I call it how it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of my take on it. There's a lot of people who are taking this and running with it to a higher narrative, a more reckless narrative. Oh my God, Kyrie's trash. Look at this. Look at his leadership. What's wrong with him? All this type of stuff. That's not the case. You know what I'm saying? I explained and thoroughly went through everything with the context of what Kyrie's doing. He never showed you that he's a weak leader. Just people who don't watch the game properly and are watching it with a salty eye and a negative eye, especially because he just left LeBron and all this type of stuff, and they're looking at it. They're obviously going to have a negative narrative of him, but if you actually know the game and you know the truth, you're going to know what Kyrie does. You're going to know his leadership, all that type of stuff. But this doesn't help his case. Gotta be real. It doesn't help his case. You know what I'm saying? So it's understood. Anyways, it's True Talks, because True Talks, you already know. Share, like, and subscribe. We out here. There's no doubt here. There's no drought here. You feel me? Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. I know some of y'all like, oh my goodness, what's going on, Banks, all this type of stuff. Listen, we're going to get back to the groove as of next week. We're going to be getting back to the groove with more of the breakdowns, more Clippers, more Lakers, all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's just I've been trying to find out and figure out a lot of these things, especially copyright and all this type of stuff. So, you know what I mean? There's been errors with some videos, especially and all that type of stuff. Like, there's a lot of technicality, difficulties, and a lot of things that are happening. So I'm just trying to be real with y'all and be transparent with y'all. But you already know the Quine now. Please don't try. Stop. It's still here. It'll never go away. He's been even eating these last couple of games that I wanted to do. But you know what I mean? You already know how that goes. And then the Lakers and all that type of stuff. And then, the Raptors. We already know. But we're getting into the groove. It's almost all-star break. Got some key matchups moving forward. So stay tuned. You already know. And like I said, it's a one-man crew. I'm trying out here. And there's easier ways and more efficient ways I could do things. But if I do it that way, you guys won't get my patents type of stuff, my trademarks, like my lip readings, all that type of stuff. And y'all love those. So it's like, I mean? I gotta... it's kind of, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't type of thing. But I'm trying to find a way to, be polished, especially, all that type of stuff. So just bear with me anyways, spread the word. And you already know next week we're going to get these breakdowns going. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, it's True Talks, because True Talks, you already know. And I'm out, man.